This video is one that I've been trying to make for a good few months now, and it's become increasingly more difficult to do as time's gone on. But it's been exactly 2 years since Black Ops 4 Zombies was revealed to the world, and 3 years since the release of Zombies Chronicles, and with Call of Duty 2020 on the horizon, I thought it was a great time to reflect on the last 2 years of Zombies and give a critical analysis of Black Ops 4 Zombies now that I've put 500 hours into the game. That's experiencing the game from its release in October 2018 to 2020. Now, 500 hours is not an insignificant amount of time. That's over 20 full days of game time in one single mode. But the question we'll be asking in this video is, was it worth it? Well, hopefully, I can give you some of my opinions and summaries in this video today. It's a very long video, so sticking around for the whole thing would be truly appreciated. But if you don't have the time, completely understand. Just come back to the video in segments if you need to. Also, if you're a regular viewer of the channel and you aren't subscribed yet, please do consider clicking that subscribe button, as around 70% of the views on this channel come from non-subscribed viewers, and it'd be great if we could keep growing the zombies community here on the channel in the lead up to Black Ops 5. So if you're not subscribed, please do click that subscribe button. And lastly, a huge thank you to Elgato for sponsoring the channel and sponsoring this video. If you want to check out their incredible products, I'll leave a link in the video's description. To begin with, we're going to have to go back to before the reveal of Black Ops 4 Zombies well over 2 years ago, as the zombies community was in a pretty fractured way. COD WW2 was the current COD game, with a zombies mode that proved to be pretty unpopular with fans. Those that were diehard Treyarch Zombies fans ignored it, whilst those that were itching for a zombies fix played it and wasn't very impressed. This was also during a time when Fortnite dominated the gaming space, with many zombies creators dedicating their channels to fully Fortnite. Whilst personally I didn't have a problem with this, a lot of the community did, and felt that channels that were creating Fortnite content had sold out to the zombies community. Nevertheless, with these conditions, Zombies was at a pretty low point, and all that fans had to keep themselves busy was Zombies Chronicles, one of the greatest bits of Zombies DLCs ever. But roll on March 8th, 2018, and that's where everything changed. What didn't change is code Dalek being 30% off geofuel.com. Oh, wrong video? Sorry about that. But it really is 30% off until the 18th of May. If you want to support the channel and get some tasty drinks at a great discount, go ahead and check it out. But let's get back to the video, shall we? The first ever Black Ops 4 teaser was revealed. Forget what you know was the tagline, with a community reveal event date of May 17th with a global launch of October 12th. Little did we know how relevant the words "forget what you know" really meant. The teaser video was a mashup of everything from the Black Ops series, from Black Ops 1 through to Black Ops 3, not really giving us a clear idea or identity for what the fourth game was going to be. But we did see remnants of Origins and Mob of the Dead from Zombies, which is all it took for the Zombies community to be on fire again. After the smash hit success of Black Ops 3 Zombies and its DLC season and Chronicles, it was like Treyarch could not put a foot wrong. And after nearly 2 years since the cliffhanger of Revelations, the Zombies community was incredibly hungry to see what was next. Skip forward to May 9th, a full 8 days before the community reveal event, and Treyarch revealed the first Zombies poster. This was our first ever look into the world of Black Ops 4 Zombies, and at the time we had no idea just what this represented, but we had a brand new Zombies language written on this poster, as well as mankind's reckoning will be its salvation. The excitement leading up to the reveal could not have been any bigger. And then the day we all waited for finally happened, May 17th. Content creators and media flocked to LA to see the reveal in person, with millions watching around the world at home. See Treyarch Studios reveal the biggest Call of Duty Zombies launch ever, with 3 full-fledged, fully loaded Zombies experiences on day 1. Zombie fans were astounded that this much content was going to be in the game on the first day. It seemed too good to be true. Zombies was finally getting the love and attention that it deserved from the success of Black Ops 3, and it sounded like everything was lining up nicely. We were introduced to 2 new maps as part of a brand new storyline that was separate and distinct from the Ether story, with a new world, new characters, and new enemies drawn from both real and mythical history. Now, it was here that you could argue that this was Black Ops 4 Zombies' first hurdle. Coming off the back of the incredible cliffhanger to the Ether story, it felt like Black Ops 4 Zombies was leaning too far into the new story than to pick up the old and finish it. But at the same time, Ether had been a 10-year storyline, and this was the first time that Jason and Craig could fully flesh out a brand new storyline with new characters and new locations that could not be possible in Ether. Our first look at Black Ops 4 Zombies brought us to the 9 trailer, where we see our protagonists huddled around a strange fountain that produced a mystical green liquid. The magic fountain seemingly allowed the characters to travel back in time to different historical events, the first being a gladiator pit in a Roman Colosseum. Now with Black Ops 3, we had a firm understanding that the villains of the Ether story were the Shadow Man and Dr. Monty, and we already got our first glimpse at a new villain, an ancient order wearing gold masks similar to the Sons of the Harpy from Game of Thrones. We see the villain activate a mysterious artifact which emitted a dark energy blast and created a yellowish dome, and anyone outside of this dome was transformed into a zombie. So we already had some context of how zombies worked in this new story, and we even got to see a boss zombie due to a zombie emerging from a chained up person's stomach. I mean, you all know what abominations they turned into, but this was a great intro cutscene and trailer as it introduced us to the characters in the new maps, as well as the basic concept behind how the zombies in Black Ops 4 were created. Zombies fans were left in a daze seeing that for the first time, questioning like, what the heck has zombies become, because it looked so crazy to what we were used to. And then we got to see the Voyage of Despair trailer, which showed our protagonists again, this time on board the RMS Titanic, which gave us another chance to learn a bit more about the characters and how the concepts of zombies worked within this new story. And it's fair to say that Zombies fans were very impressed by what they saw with Voyage of Despair and 9. But it didn't end there, as Zombies fans were in awe when it was revealed that the popular map Mob of the Dead was being reimagined as Blood of the Dead in Black Ops 4. And it looked like the classic zombie killing foursome from Origins and Black Ops 3 were gonna be the protagonists in this remastered map. Ether was well and truly back, and the trailer caused chills down every zombie fan's spine. After 5 years of waiting and it not appearing in Zombies Chronicles, it finally made sense. It was the perfect timing and the perfect location for the next Ether Zombies map. Black Ops 4 Zombies sounded like the perfect package on paper, and it didn't stop there, as in addition to a new beginning with new characters, players were also having new ways to play. Custom Mutations was introduced as a system that brought 100 different customizable options that can change the fundamental rules and systems of the gameplay experience. They also introduced the Black Ops Authenticity Stamp system to give players a shareable code stating exactly what was achieved and what settings were used. Zombies finally got bot support, which would allow solo players or players without a full team of 4 to experience the full narrative co-op experience, and a brand new game mode called Zombies Rush was introduced that simplified the experience to create a whole new tempo of gameplay. It sounded like the perfect game on paper, and Zombies fans entered new levels of excitement for this game, and it seemed like Treyarch couldn't do no wrong. Now at this point on the timeline, we didn't expect to hear anything more about Zombies until July at Comic-Con, but we actually got a very surprising announcement only a month later in June. During the week of E3, Activision and Treyarch dropped a shock announcement. A 4th Zombies map was coming to the game called Classified, which was a remake of the map 5. Jason went into more detail at a panel within the next day talking about how it's set before the events of 5, and we're going to be playing as the Ultimus crew, which got people even more excited. But along with all this news, which was taken really positively, there was a few negative things that came from this. The first being the first mention of players being able to choose their own starting weapon, equipment, and special weapon before they go into a game. On paper, this sounds amazing, but we all know that this is something which players soon grew to really dislike. And we also got explanations about perk vapors and perk machines, and how we'll be able to choose what machines we get in the map before we go into the game. Again, being a brand new mechanic on paper, it sounded fantastic, but of course, we'll go into that all later. But I think the biggest controversy that came from this announcement was the announcement of the extremely controversial Black Ops Pass, a season pass of content which was the only way to get access to Classified, as well as the 4 Zombies DLCs over the next year, and practically any DLC for Black Ops 4 for that matter. It's no secret that people buy DLC packs purely just for Zombies, so the option to not buy them separately was disappointing, but there was plenty of rumor and speculation leading up to the announcement of the Black Ops Pass that Black Ops 4 was going to have free multiplayer DLC. But instead, Activision wanted to take a different approach to post-launch content with the form of a live season instead of 4 separate DLC expansion releases, and they wanted to release content faster to keep things fresh and launch new maps and content faster than before. But the only way they could do this is if you paid the full $50 up front. This caused insane backlash, not just from the Call of Duty community alone, but the gaming community in general. So many games at that point have adopted a free content update model, so to see Black Ops 4 require a full $50 purchase of a season pass to get any of the content was a big slap in the face to a lot of the gaming community. And it was the first big piece of negative news surrounding Black Ops 4. The Zombies fans didn't really care at all because it was pretty much the exact same way that Zombies DLC has dropped anyway. But roll on to July 20th, 2018, where Treyarch Zombies descended upon San Diego Comic-Con, where again it felt like Treyarch could not go no wrong and Zombies was getting the most attention it has ever had. We got the long-awaited reveal of the special edition for Black Ops 4 being the Mystery Box edition. And it's fair to say Zombie fans were incredibly hyped by this announcement. They were waiting for something to surpass the Juggernaut edition, and whilst it wasn't quite the Mystery Box that they remember and love, there was a ton of excitement surrounding it. Treyarch and Activision even announced the very first high-end Call of Duty Zombies collector statues. Based on the Black Ops 2 Origin Zombies crew, it included the 4 Primus Zombies heroes. And you really got this feeling that Zombies was finally getting the attention it deserved. These statues looked incredible, but unfortunately, they only ever released Richtofen, awkwardly serving a foreshadowing perhaps to how Black Ops 4 Zombies was going to be treated. We were then treated to something which we were truly in awe seeing, and that was the intro cutscene to Blood of the Dead. Just seeing the 4 iconic characters back again in a brand new light in Alcatraz prison with the cameos of Brutus, it just ignited the community, which left them for weeks with theories and ideas on where the story was going. Shifting gears to that new storyline, we got a brand new story trailer revealed, which gave us backstory to Scarlet and how the other characters were entwined in her story. It was our first look at actual Zombies gameplay, giving us a pure sense of scale for the different levels that Voyage of Despair offered. We got looks at new zombie types as well as the use of the specialist weapons. And overall was a great preview to get our taste buds tingling with some questionable zombie types in there such as gladiators, as well as blight fathers and tigers, but made for an incredible story trailer. And on top of that, it was announced that we were going to be getting a 4-part comic book published by Dark Horse Comics that goes behind the scenes to tell how the story of the Chaos Crew characters met and how they decided to form their crew. The previous comic series for Call of Duty Zombies with the Victor's crew went down incredibly well, so it was amazing that Treyarch were building up this context and backstory before the game had even revealed, and was honestly, in my opinion, the best way that they could go around building a story so that we knew what was happening as we jumped into the game. However, without the context of experiencing these characters in the game beforehand, this led the comics to fail, as no one had any idea who these characters were, so there was no prior interest. I personally think these comics were a fantastic idea, but sadly weren't a hit among the community. There was also one other fatal announcement revealed in Comic-Con, which has scarred Black Ops 4 Zombies ever since. And this was the announcement of a new feature in Black Ops 4 Zombies called Factions, which was complete with its own quests and narratives. The Factions feature was going to add another dimension to the story, as players chose to side with the Blood Faith, Tempest Novi, Dustborn, or the First Legion, with Jason Blundell adding that these factions will add a new layer to the Zombies experience, with questions such as who do you stand with, and what does that mean as you progress along that path. Now, we all know what happened with Factions, as it never made its way into the game. It sounded like a feature that was far too ambitious for them to get completed. What is even more disappointing is these features were all announced prior to the game's release, so you expect that all of this stuff would be in the game when it releases. Nevertheless, Black Ops 4 Zombies hype was at an all-time high once again, and the wait was really on from July until October for the release of the game. And we did get one final trailer before Zombies released, which was a music video for 9, which was absolutely sensational. Avenged Sevenfold created a brand new track just for this map, and it gave you the feeling that Zombies was really back where it belonged. Treyarch has always made incredible cinematic story trailers for their Zombies maps, and this is up there as one of the greatest. Nearly 5 minutes of action-packed gameplay cinematics. Anyone who had doubts about this map prior had their minds completely changed. And even today is arguably one of the best Zombies trailers we've had in recent memory. It's just full of so many incredible moments. But October 12, 2018 rolled around and Black Ops 4 Zombies was in everyone's hands. The wait was finally over, but boy, was it a rough launch. Now, without pointing out the obvious straight away, let's jump into the more minor things. Black Ops 4 is by no means a bad-looking game, but upon loading up Zombies and playing it, something felt off about it in comparison to Black Ops 3. The Zombies engine felt similar, but things looked different. They almost looked a bit more cartoony and less realistic, but in most cases didn't look any better, if not worse, than Black Ops 3. On the road to launch, Treyarch hammered in how we would have control over the gameplay of Black Ops 4 Zombies. We can fine-tune pretty much any system we want in custom mutations, but the core classic experience felt like a weird cousin of what we gotten used to. Treyarch went ahead and flipped some of the most loved mechanics in Zombies on its head completely, and the worst thing about this is there was no explanation of why. Juggernog, the most iconic perk in Zombies, was completely removed from the game, and we didn't learn until developer interviews after release why this change was made, because Juggernog was labeled as a crutch perk. What we got on launch day was the same health system as Black Ops 3 Zombies, but with the lack of Juggernog for extra health. So the game was already infinitely harder. Double tap and speed cola were also absent from the perk selections, instead of having double tap integrated into the multi-pack-a-punch system, and speed cola wasn't even in the game until around 3 weeks later, where you had to purchase all 4 of your perks in order to get the benefits. And on top of that, other beloved fan favorite perks like Quick Revive, Stamina Up, Electric Cherry, Widow's Wine, and Mule Kick had changes which again were not explained to the players beforehand. When you've played Zombies for 10 years and have evolved with the mechanics of the game, to suddenly have so much of the basics completely thrown on its head, of course it's going to jar the entire player base. I know why Treyarch done it, and they had good intentions where they wanted players to pick perks that would change and influence their gameplay style, but wouldn't necessarily be choices because they are crutches alone that they need to have in order to survive. But a change this significant without being explained properly beforehand was already a huge shot in the foot. Everyone had got accustomed to learning the map layouts, learning the cheapest way to get to Juggernog and where it was on the map, and made the first 5 to 10 rounds very difficult because you had to play around how you would get to that perk machine. The introduction of specialist weapons also threw the balance of Zombies out completely, because no longer were the early rounds of you having to progress slowly but surely to make your way to earn these crutches were just thrown out the window. And there's no way we could be 17.5 minutes into this video without talking about blue screens. I don't think I've ever experienced a game launch as bad as Black Ops 4 Zombies. It was literally unplayable for the first month of the game's release. I don't know how I didn't go crazy from the dozens of hours I spent playing non-stop on stream, just trying to enjoy the maps and to hunt for the Easter eggs without the game crashing on us. Now, of course, not every game is going to launch absolutely perfect. There's always going to be bugs and glitches here and there, but the state of the game when it first launched was absolutely unexcusable. Now, instantly you'd blame Treyarch for the buggy mess that Black Ops 4 was at launch. But up until then, Call of Duties had always released in November, and it was clear that Black Ops 4 needed more time to be complete, but Activision wanted to get the game out before Red Dead Redemption 2, and I think this decision wrote Black Ops 4 an early grave. How is it possible to play Zombies on day 1 and get a blue screen on round 20? Even around 15, there were over 150 different instances in a game of Zombies that could cause it to just crash. And no game should be publicly released when there are that many variables that can cause a game to crash. It's baffling that on the lead up to the release of Black Ops 4, it seemed that Zombies was getting more love and attention from Activision than it had ever done before. So for Zombies to have a fall from grace this hard was a very hard thing for the community to accept. Not even 48 hours after after the release of Black Ops 4 Zombies did Treyarch adjust the health system to 200 from 150. It was listening to the community's outcries, but unfortunately, the game had way too many issues for Treyarch to sort out in a timely manner. After a week of Easter egg hunting non-stop, 9 was finally beaten for the first time. That's if your game didn't get a blue screen before the boss fight, of course. And expectations were high with this brand new Chaos storyline to truly deliver a new Zombies experience. And the ending left fans incredibly confused because as quickly as a new crew came, it seemed like that crew were already gone. But it's purely because the Chaos storyline has 9's ending take place after Voyage of Despair's ending, which the community hadn't solved yet. Fans didn't know if they liked this crew or not because they had no real context of their backstory, because the story given in 9 and Voyage wasn't very clear and didn't give us too much reason to instantly leap onto liking these characters. On the whole, 9 was incredibly well received and is still up there as one of the greatest Zombies maps that Treyarch has ever made. It's incredibly creative with a very tight, clean map layout, a ton of really creative, fun wonder weapons and mechanics, and it's an absolute standout map, and as I would call it, a hot classic. Rather than this map being overbearing, it suits all playstyles. If you're a hardcore Zombies player, you'll really enjoy this map. If you're playing it casually, you can still have a lot of fun. It's not too complicated and is overall a great time. Voyage of Despair was the next map to have its Easter egg fully completed. And whilst both 9 and Voyage blew us away with their incredible boss fights, the audience were left confused about where the story was going with Chaos. We had one map where the crew were killed and another where it seemed Bruno was evil. And that was really all she wrote, but it wasn't a very strong introduction to a new storyline with new characters, as again, unlike previous Zombies where we've started with these characters at a certain point, there was backstory to these characters that were not experienced in the game but had to be read in the comic, which sadly only a small percentage of zombie fans would actually go and buy. But on a whole, Voyage of Despair was a pretty mixed bag. There's no question that this map is absolutely breathtaking in scale. It is absolutely gigantic, but with that comes the complexity of the map layout. It is incredibly confusing to learn the layout of this map and caters pretty much only to the most hardcore of Zombies players. If you are a new player to Zombies, then you are gonna hate your experience on Voyage. The idea of a Zombies map set on the Titanic sounded like an absolutely amazing idea on paper, but translated, it just didn't work, did it? What let it down was its overly complicated map layout, its ridiculous amount of boss zombies, and a lack of any real good weapons to help balance out the game. Some players love having tight, narrow corridors as the only means they have to train up zombies and go through rounds, but this map takes it to another level. I also think with this map being set purely around a natural disaster like the Titanic, there could have been a little bit more done with that. And of course, the Titanic is such a horrific, sad disaster, and the movie reflects that so well. Since 9 isn't solely based off a historical event, but this is, there could have been a little bit more done with it. And I feel in terms of gameplay, this map just gets a bit dull in comparison to 9. Like once you get past round 20 or so, the map is very dull. There's way too many mini bosses that you have to kill and worry about. There's no max ammos or breaks and rounds, so high rounds is almost a burden. The pack-a-punch cycle is pretty frustrating, but there's no doubt that Treyarch put a lot of care and attention to the aesthetics, the music of the map. It is gorgeous. It's like a alternate Shadows of Evil in some respects, but sadly it just doesn't translate to a fun gameplay map in comparison. But with the incredible boss fight complete and the Easter egg solved, so all eyes were on Blood of the Dead. And from launch, the community were juggling all 3 maps, not knowing which one they should prioritize or focus on. And I think this was also another problem for Black Ops 4 Zombies straight away. It had an identity problem again. Players didn't know if they needed to prioritize the Chaos story map or the Ether story map. Fans were drowning in Zombies content, which was a bit of a weird problem to have, where I think a solution could be to have one map available to all, and then as soon as an Easter egg was completed, the next map was unlocked, and so on and so forth. But Blood of the Dead was the map that people truly cared about, because it was a continuation of the 10 years of Ether. where we finally got progression and answers to the Revelations ending. But I think it's fair to say that Blood of the Dead will go on record as being one of the most disappointing zombies maps that we have ever gotten. I don't know how a Mob of the Dead remake went so horribly wrong. But almost everything that Mob of the Dead had that made it fun was stripped out, replaced with really unnecessary mechanics and systems. The map was incredibly unbalanced, with dogs spawning absolutely everywhere all the time, and an Easter egg quest that, whilst it had some incredible story moments, in gameplay terms was absolutely poor. Even now in 2020, I hate the Blood of the Dead Easter egg. None of the steps are fun to do in any way, shape or form, and it just feels like an absolute chore. But the map did not disappoint with its incredible ending cutscene. A 4-minute extravaganza of one of the most emotional moments ever seen in Call of Duty Zombies. Whilst Blood of the Dead didn't tick every box, the story was absolutely incredible, but again was sadly overshadowed by just how many problems Black Ops 4 Zombies had. And there was still one more map to tackle in the Easter egg completions, being Classified. Black Ops 4 Zombies went a whole month without the Easter egg being even the slightest bit discovered, until one day a rumor was circulating that became very apparent. The Easter egg ending was hidden behind a round 150 completion. Treyarch's intention was to reward the high round community, but boy oh boy, did this backfire. Why would you set a round requirement that high when the game isn't even stable enough to reach that level? It was absolute lunacy. And if the community wasn't already a dumpster truck fire by that point, this certainly added fuel to the flames. Zombies map that was unbeatable for well over a month. How does that make any sense? Well, I'll tell you what, lads, it doesn't. It was so clear that the game just was not ready to launch in the state that it did, and it took months for Black Ops 4 Zombies to recover from this mess of a launch. I'd love to think that Treyarch have learned this lesson from Black Ops 4 and it will never happen again, and COD 2020 will be a polished experience, but we already know that they are restricted on time, so I can only have my fingers crossed that we won't get this situation again. But with 4 Zombies maps and a very turbulent launch, fans were burned out. There was no more Zombies content to go through. There was a very sour taste left in people's mouths when the combination of Juggernog being removed, Double Tap and Speed Cola being adjusted, the game constantly crashing, round 150 Easter egg. Treyarch didn't need any more negative press, but oh boy, something even worse came along. In early November, a Redditor with the name of Call of Nobody Cares claimed to be a QA analyst for Treyarch in a recent Reddit post, and in his thread, leaked solutions to unsolved Easter eggs for zombies, leaked information on the future of Black Ops 4 Zombies, and among those, indicated that the studio only started fixing issues when big YouTubers and streamers had their games crashing, saying that Treyarch didn't care if the minority of players' games crashes. This was a dumpster truck of zombies drama unlike anything we'd ever seen before. Treyarch were always seen in a perfect light as the gods of Call of Duty Zombies, but this was the first time that their crown wasn't shining so bright, but it was also a time where the community became so incredibly toxic that it just did not help Black Ops 4 Zombies out in any way, shape or form. But aside from minor Easter eggs that were leaked, we did get the mention of DLC 1 being a new set of characters set in a mansion. Now, normally DLCs for Black Ops do not come out to around February time. That's when we got Horizon Drag, but this was a shocking map release, as we got the first DLC for Zombies in December and it had zero marketing or zero lead up. In a world where we saw Horizon Drag 2 months before release and we knew exactly what we were getting, this had no marketing whatsoever, just dropped out of the blue, and to make it even worse, it leaked a day early on the Australian PlayStation Network store. Treyarch obviously had different intentions on how to introduce us to this world and these 4 new characters, but we eventually got Dead of the Night, which was a prequel to the Chaos story maps that was released on day 1, with a celebrity cast of characters in a mansion where we had werewolves and vampires, along with some creative new wonder weapons and the backstory to our Chaos crew. What let this map down was the fact that it was a prequel to the maps we got on launch day, so it didn't continue on this new storyline that Treyarch were trying to sell us onto, because it was telling us stuff that's set before what we got on day 1, essentially making us question and wait even longer for some sort of explanation from that 9 ending and on actually where the story was going. Dead of the Night's Easter egg hunt was solved within 24 hours of the map releasing, and Black Ops 4 Zombies felt dead once again. Upon reflection of Dead of the Night, it's not a bad map by any means. Reflecting upon it a year and a half later, Dead of the Night is considered an underrated gem in the Black Ops 4 Zombies library. Now, it certainly puts itself out there as a unique Zombies experience among the rest. You have a pretty cool celebrity cast of characters, a cool setting, and a genuinely good wonder weapon for once, with a few other secrets littered here and there, like the steak knife as well as the crossbow. That's very divided if you enjoy the boss zombies on this map or not. You've got the werewolves, which are pretty frustrating. You have vampires, which were incredibly annoying at launch, and are far less annoying now, but still a little bit annoying. There were some interesting concepts introduced in this, such as silver bullets, where you could technically make any weapon stronger and have infinite ammo for it. So as a map for high round gameplay, it's actually pretty challenging but accessible to a lot of players. I genuinely don't think Dead of the Night is that bad. I actually think it's pretty decent. Way more fun to play than Voyage of Despair, that's for sure. During the launch of Black Ops 4 Zombies as well, Treyarch announced that they were going to have live zombies events, which sounded a little similar to some of the stuff Fortnite would get, where we would have things to work for in-game and gave us rewards like face paints. This was incredibly underwhelming because this is one of the only things we ever got in terms of a zombies event. But rolling into January 15th of 2019, and Treyarch celebrated 115 Day, a day to celebrate zombies, and introduced a new Gauntlets game mode into zombies, as well as teasing that the next Zombies DLC was going to take place in Greece, and it was going to be a continuation of the Chaos story. At this point, zombie players were starting to get restless because you had a divide of people that loved the Chaos story and was excited to see its continuation, but then another which were diehard Ether fans that couldn't understand why, after getting an ending like we did in Classified, we've not had a new map yet. Black Ops 4 continued to get new operation updates, but for the first time, a zombies map wasn't launched with an operation, which seemed to suggest that Treyarch's support for zombies was on the decline. We didn't get a new zombies map for a whole month after, which was Ancient Evil, the final map in the Chaos storyline. Until that point, it seemed like Chaos was not going to end anytime soon, but it seemed that Treyarch put the brakes on Chaos a little bit sooner than they wanted to. The Chaos story wasn't a bad storyline by any means, but it was fair to assume that people were just not gelling with Chaos. But Ancient Evil released, and it was an absolute masterpiece, delivering a gameplay experience on par, if not better than 9 from launch, with just tons of great things within it. And you could tell that there was a lot of budget and creativity poured into this map. But it was sad because with a really cool ending that Ancient Evil got, that was the end of Chaos. And a year on, we are none the wiser if this storyline is going to continue in the next game, if it's even going to continue at all. It's clear that there was a big problem with the storyline in Black Ops 4 Zombies if it took the final DLC of Chaos for people to truly latch onto the storyline and acceptance of the Chaos storyline. It was really sad because if we'd gotten this quality of a map earlier, I think the general feeling towards Chaos would have been so much different, but people were yearning for Ether at this point. Die-hard zombie fans didn't buy Black Ops 4 for this new story. They wanted it for the incredible continuation of Ether. And we had to wait a really long time before we got DLC 3, which was Alpha Omega, a Nuketown Zombies remake. As soon as it was announced, people started to become a bit wary, a bit suspicious that something weird was happening with Black Ops 4 Zombies. We got the introduction of Alpha Omega through an animated intro cutscene, which was something that we didn't have in any other Zombies maps prior. The fact that after waiting 3 years for new Ether content, not only did we have our first new map as a remake of Alcatraz, but now we have a remake of Nuketown, which already existed in Black Ops 4 in Blackout. Zombie fans rightly had their concerns, but the excitement far outweighed the concerns because views and interest in Zombies had reached a brand new high, only seen at the launch of Black Ops 4 Zombies and previously at the end of Black Ops 3 DLC 4. YouTubers across the board were seeing incredible numbers of live viewers and views on videos of Alpha Omega, and it was all because it was part of the Ether storyline. That's all it took for the Black Ops 4 Zombies community to rejoice and rebound again, and the community were hungry for more. All the negativity that Treyarch had picked up over the past 9 months flew out the window with Alpha Omega, and they were on track for another incredible conclusion conclusion, just like with Black Ops 3 Zombies. It was announced that the next DLC was going to be the finale to Aether, the conclusion that we had waited 10 years for. It was hard to believe and people had their concerns with this. Whilst Alpha Omega was received incredibly well by the community with views far and wide, people were concerned that Zombies was not getting the budget and the love that it rightly deserved. Both intro and outro cutscene for Alpha Omega were completely animated, and to end a 10-year epic saga like this, it deserves as much budget thrown at it so we get a full CGI ending, which we thoroughly deserved. Slowly but surely, Treyarch were unraveling the curtain on Targ der Toten, the final DLC, revealing snippets, screenshots, and eventual trailers to the intro cutscene, with the map direction going completely different to what you'd expect a finale to be. We expected a great war with the Keepers and the Apothicons, just like it was written in the timeline many years ago. And we would end this out as Great War premise fighting in that Great War, but instead we got something entirely different. It almost seemed like a joke at first. The 4 Victus crew characters frozen in cryostasis in Alcatraz were awoken, and we were playing as them on a reimagined Call of the Dead. Despite the outcry that it was again another remake map, especially considering it was the finale of Aether, they had waited patiently. They have gone through map after DLC after storyline to finally get to this point, and the entire Zombies community was back in full swing to see the finale of this beloved game mode play out, to say goodbye to characters that they have grown up with, characters which have become more like friends to them. This wasn't just a game mode at this point, this was a huge part of people's lives. And having as weird and twisted a journey as the Black Ops 4 season to get to this point to say goodbye felt a little bit off. We did not even get to play as Primus. Heck, we didn't even get to play as Ultimus. We already got that treat last DLC, but for the final DLC, we played as the Victus crew, which for some reason no one really remembers was one of the worst received crews besides the Chaos crew back in Black Ops 2. And Targ der Toten didn't even feature a boss fight. Like, as disappointing as Revelations was for its recycle of the Shadow Man boss fight from Shadows of Evil and its ridiculous Easter egg steps, at least there was an exciting 2-part boss fight that was some sort of boss fight. It felt like Treyarch were really running on a very tight budget, and unfortunately, Aether could not be finished in the way that I think Treyarch originally intended. They did the absolute best that they could with what they had, but with the circumstances of Zombies being a very small team, Treyarch having to work on the next game, there just wasn't enough priority there for Zombies to be truly ended in the way it should have. Like, the finale of Zombies was an animated cutscene, and it wasn't even the epic be-all end-all cutscene that you would have expected. All it was our characters sitting around a campfire, drinking and sharing their last memories while Nikolai secretly poisoned them all, whilst manipulating the Victus crew to create a device so he could destroy the world once and for all, including the crew that helped him get it, destroying everything that had ever existed in Aether Zombies and putting it and banishing it to a place below existence called the Dark Aether. 10 years of story and world building just destroyed in a matter of moments through one simple bit of story, just so that the innocent Samantha and Eddie can walk off into a safe new world free from the curse of Element 115. The ending was something which we were all dreading because we didn't want this 10-year story to end, but it had to at some point, and it's fair to say that the instant reaction was that of disappointment. Treyarch have always managed to make every Zombies ending have a very controversial ending, where people aren't going to like it at first, but over time people will learn to like it, and I feel like this ending is slowly starting to have that effect on people. Reflecting on the 10 years of Zombies, it went from 0 to 20 to 100 to 1000, and it naturally had to come to an end eventually, because this is without question the most confusing story I've followed in anything in all my life. But the overall feeling was that of underwhelmment. Black Ops 4 Zombies looked like it was going to have the biggest budget it's ever seen in terms of content creation, that ended with a bare bones version of what the reveal event seemed to us. A game that, when was said and done, had a new storyline introduced which was cut off midway due to the reception, to Ether feeling like it was ended very quickly considering they only had 2 maps to wrap up a story which was over 10 years old. The Rush game mode was a very underwhelming game mode which wasn't really played by many players at all. Gauntlets became a very forgettable game mode very quickly, and with structure of updates for Black Ops 4 Zombies, things came very slow and didn't feel at all like a live service game that was given constant attention. The factions mechanic was never added into Black Ops 4 Zombies and became a meme for almost the entirety of Black Ops 4's life, as people just questioned where on earth was this mode, what happened to it, and no one really knows. But on reflection, what let down Black Ops 4 Zombies the most was it was trying to be too ambitious. There was too many ideas going into it for it to become a evolution of Black Ops 3 Zombies, and it just did not feel like that whatsoever. Treyarch changed so many mechanics which did not need changing, and in doing so had to spend multiple updates to change it and adjust it to a way that fans, while still didn't like it, at least accepted it a little better. I can still go back and play Black Ops 4 Zombies and have a good time on 9, or have a good time on Alpha Omega or Target Totem or Ancient Evil, but even still, it's unfortunate that Black Ops 4 Zombies went the way it did, because it was supposed to be a true revolution to Black Ops 3 and its incredible Zombies mode. And it's fair to say that the aftermath of the launch of Black Ops 4 Zombies and its season has got everyone questioning what the state of Zombies is going to be in the next Treyarch game. Are we even going to see Zombies return? Where could Zombies go from here? It's all come to an end, so surely whatever Zombies we do get next is going to be something entirely brand new, and if so, how exactly is the community going to react to that? My 500 hours of Black Ops 4 Zombies has been full of many different things. I've had some incredible enjoyment from the game, very similar to what I had during the peak of Black Ops 3 Zombies, but it's also been full of frustration and anguish, and is something I've never ever experienced in a video game before. This game truly has been a roller coaster of a ride, with every emotion in between, being from the highest highs to the lowest of lows, and ending it all out with a pretty mixed bag. So while a lot of you might consider or conclude that my 500 hours was a waste of time, I don't really see it that way. I've now experienced, hopefully, what was considered the worst of Treyarch Zombies. In the future, I, as well as you, will know how bad things can really get before they can get any better. And with all the risks and mistakes that Treyarch might have made during Black Ops 4 Zombies, it's all part of a learning process, right? And I'm sure that they've learned from the mistakes, and they will apply what they've learned to make sure that the next Zombies in Black Ops 5 will be as great as it can be, because I have faith that they're going to deliver an amazing game regardless of all the circumstances surrounding it. Thanks for watching if you've made it all the way through to the end. This is probably one of the longest videos I've ever worked on, and it was a mammoth edit, but it felt so good to talk about the journey that we've been on with Black Ops 4. So thank you very much for watching it all the way through. I'd love to know your thoughts on the game down below in the comment section, how you feel about it now that we're 2 years out from the reveal. And if you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a thumbs up. I'd be really interested in maybe delving into another style video like this on Black Ops 3, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1 World at War. It'd be really interesting. Also, to give a big shout out and thank you to Pat, the Smith Plays, as well as Tim Hansen and Westy for the inspiration to make this style of video. I've never really done it before. So big shout out to all of those guys for the inspiration for this video. But thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll hopefully see you for another one of my videos very soon.